I thank the member for Coogee. I now call the member for Newtown.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise on behalf of the Greens to make a contribution to the Liquor Amendment 24-Hour Economy Bill 2020, a bill which amends the Liquor Act 2007 and the Liquor Regulation 2018 in response to both impacts of COVID-19 on the hospitality industry in New South Wales and the live music and nighttime economy industries, and in response to the Joint Select Committee on Sydney's nighttime economy. The Greens are supportive of most of these changes, and while we absolutely agree that the bill does not go far enough to deliver on the much-needed support for the live music, creative and hospo industries in our city to be able to recover and thrive, we need to recognise the fact that these industries and these parts of the community have faced a double hit of both the lockouts and the pandemic in recent times. My Greens colleague in the other place, Kate Fairman, will also address some concerns raised by stakeholders around the risks of online sale and same-day delivery of alcohol. But I wanted to put on the record here that the good people of the electorate of Newtown love the nightlife. But we saw a massive shift to our community and our change as a result of the imposition of the lockouts. And I think it's important to share that we don't need to have a punitive approach when it comes to these issues. And we can also have a recognition of a safe approach to how we deal with these issues in a way that supports our community. We need to get back to a city where we can dance all night as soon as we can. And that means that our beloved late night venues, restaurants, bars that are doing it so tough as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and it's our responsibility in this place as individuals to ensure the live music scene, our hospitality industries and all those who work in them are supported to recover from these very difficult times. At its best, Sydney's nighttime is one of the best places to be on the planet. Our world-class restaurant scene, our incredible selection of small specialty bars, our character-filled live music venues, big and small, which provided a home base for generations of local musos, artists and creatives, as well as chefs, cocktail makers and entertainers. These are the things that can make our city so vibrant, so alive and so great. And these are the things that attract young people from all over the country to live and study and work in our city, and people to come to our city from around the world when we once again see the borders open so they can come. Now is the time to be able to build up those industries, to support our local hospitality industries, our arts and creative scenes, its tireless workers and dedicated patrons, and the Greens wholeheartedly support any measures that aim to do this. Because if we don't, when this pandemic passes, we will have lost so much more than what we have already lost. And oh, how great it will be. How much we all long to be standing in a massive crowd of people again, chanting and singing and hugging. Oh, and how we will miss being on a crowded, sweaty dance floor, dancing all night, and how we all miss feeling the pull of the crowd lifting us up at gigs and up and down to the beat. Sydney's nighttime culture and economy has been under siege for many, many years, most recently as a result of the COVID pandemic, but long before that, it was the draconian strong-arm approach of this Liberal national government with the support of the opposition New South Wales Labor Party, which dealt the first serious blow to our nightlife in this city. They all came together in this place before I was here, but I acknowledge the Greens member for Balmain was here and was one of the sole, one of the few voices, two voices in fact, that spoke out against this bizarre recalling of Parliament and the implementation of these draconian lockout laws that just smashed Sydney's nighttime economy, smashed Sydney's live music industry, smashed our culture in this city and the vibrant culture that existed well before the pandemic. And now we have Labor, oh, the champions and friends of live music. Well, I'm sorry, Greens are the only party in this place that know how to party, and we are the only party that knows that when it came to the imposition of the lockouts, when it came to the imposition of the lockouts, and the absolutely disgraceful behaviour, the absolute disgraceful behaviour of the New South Wales Liberals and Nationals, joined by the New South Wales Labor Party, and they don't want to hear it in this place, coming together and dealing the first blow to the nighttime economy and the nighttime culture and the live music industry in this state when they all joined hands and imposed the lockouts and destroyed Sydney's nightlife. We finally won that battle. We finally we won that battle, and we see a turnaround of things now.
Trying to fix it now.
We turn around, and I acknowledge the minister saying they're trying to fix it. They are trying to fix it, but let's not rewrite history, all right? We're not just doing this because of the COVID pandemic. We're doing this because these parties all came together to smash the nighttime culture and economy well before COVID came to these shores.
The member for Canterbury and the member for Wollongong.
They came together and they supported these changes. This was a blanket punishment on everybody's right to party and right to dance. What did we see as the first wind back? Gifts. Gifts to the big venues. Gifts to the big venues. But instead, we saw the impact of these things. Now I hear the members in this place trying to pretend and justify that there were reasons for them taking this approach, and there clearly were not.
People were hitting.
And I would like to say,
People were getting killed.
Speaker, are the members able to keep interjecting like this? Because otherwise I'd like a brief extension of time so I can respond to them as well as put my remarks on the record.
Order. I want the member for Newtown heard in silence. Are you asking for an extension?
I would like to ask for an extension because I've been feeling like I've been trying to yell over the members yelling
Fair
behind
enough.
me.
An extension is granted. All those in favour?
Aye.
Thank you.
Against? An extension
Thank you,
is
Speaker.
granted.
So it's clear that the lockouts were disastrous for our city, and it's crucial that we recognise that alcohol-related violence is a serious issue. But if this government and the opposition were serious about wanting to address alcohol-related violence, then there would be a lot more of a push and a recall of Parliament when we see the amount of alcohol-fuelled and related domestic violence incidents that occur in our state. While it was an absolute tragedy that we saw losses of life, we need to recognise that there are losses of life in our state for a whole lot of very serious reasons. The decision to come back and recall Parliament and impose this punitive lockout approach was not the solution. And I offer this because in my own electorate of Newtown, we did offer a solution. We saw a huge and significant displacement of the people that were going out in CBD and King's Cross as a result of the imposition of the lockouts come to Newtown. But what did we do? We didn't all call as a community to say expand the lockouts to Newtown because we knew that would kill our community. It would kill our vibrant nightlife and our music industry and our ability to go out and party all night. So instead what we did is we worked together as a community. I was able to co-host a roundtable with the Newtown Neighbourhood Centre. We brought the local police, the local liquor accord, activists, community representatives, local government representatives, transport representatives together, and we said, what are the solutions to address this? And together, as part of that Newtown Vibe Roundtable, we made sure that there was not a displacement of the violence, even though there was a clear displacement of the people going out in Newtown, and we were able to address the safety concerns, the increase in the amount of people going out, while not completely shutting down our nighttime economy and our culture and our nightlife. And I note that at the time we tried to share those reports with those in government that were trying to look at the solutions, but no, they insisted to continue on with this approach. What we saw out of that was initiatives including improvements to taxi ranks, calls for better improvements to public transport so people get in and out of the area, safer bars training for venue staff and security staff, trials of ways to communicate between venues about people that were problematic going between those venues. This was the solution to how you do it, and this is what demonstrates can be done if we don't just take a tough on law and order approach that makes us want to look tough to handle a problem in certain ways. I also want to acknowledge and do a shout out back in 2016 to the 12,000 people who signed a petition calling to keep Sydney safe and open, that I was very proud to be able to stand in this chamber back in the days when we were allowed to have the gallery packed with people, to call out in this chamber for the government to act, to call out the damaging impact on culture and our right to dance and party all night, as well as call on the impact of businesses and Sydney's global reputation to be considered. We recognise the absolute need for these shifts and these changes, and I want to thank the thousands of people that signed that petition. I want to thank the many, many people that came to watch that petition debate in this place, and I want to acknowledge the huge rallies that took place before the 2019 election to highlight the plight of live music, and I welcome Labor's change of heart and their shift to this approach, but I just wish that we hadn't had to see all the damage and devastation happen first before they were to change their minds. We absolutely know that there is a need for us to approach this in a way that doesn't just look at the nighttime culture, doesn't just look at this as a nighttime economy issue, but recognises the need to be this recognised as culture. As the Minister acknowledged in his second read, it is crucial that we recognise that the nighttime economy, and I would add to that the nighttime culture, and I think it's really important for recognising that it's not just about the money-making elements, and I know the Minister is agreeing that it's about so much more than just alcohol. And we absolutely need to recognise, and I remember back when the lockouts were first introduced, and I was able to write an op-ed when I first got elected to talking about this. I mentioned the issue of people being late at night standing on King Street outside the train station selling punnets of strawberries. Now this might seem like a long bow to draw, but having people out on the street selling punnets of strawberries or offering poetry to people or having kids out with family members sitting on the street having a meal, that is how you make sure that a nighttime feels safe, inclusive and encouraged. And we should be absolutely looking at all the ways that we can do that in the current environment. That said, we need to recognise also that we should be able to party all night, that people should be able to make the choices to be able to go out and dance if they want to. And it's important for us to remember and look at the privileges offered to certain people that are able to make a decision once a venue closes to say, oh, well, actually, I can go home and invite my friends back to my house and we can drink from our fine whiskey or wine collection. Well, not all young people have the ability to have a fine wine or whiskey collection. Not all people finishing work at a restaurant in hospitality all those years ago when I used to finish down at the Rocks had the option of inviting people back to their house when you finished work at 1 a.m. to be able to go somewhere. And so a lot of these changes need to be recognised that actually people don't have that choice, and we need to make sure that young people feel included in our community and people that don't have other more secure ways of income and places to be able to go are actually able to go and socialise together. I want to acknowledge the 61 venues who have banded together to form the Save Our Stages campaign, calling on the New South Wales Government to immediately commit to supporting live music venues in New South Wales throughout the COVID period. Despite being home to the biggest music industry in Australia, a recent survey by Music New South Wales of 47 Sydney entertainment venues found that a staggering 85% predicted their own shutdown within 6 to 9 months if the current trading conditions persist. The same survey revealed a whopping $70 million in earnings that had been lost in the past 6 months. I know that there are so many venues in Newtown that are struggling, and I know that there are so many artists and musos that are struggling. Save Our Stages is calling on the New South Wales Government to work with Music New South Wales and industry representatives to devise a stimulus package that will ensure the ongoing survival of live music venues and support artists and communities who depend on live music for their existence. We know that the Victorian and Queensland governments are both committed to financially supporting live music venues in those states, and I urge those in this place, and particularly the Minister, to do all that he can to make sure that we're supporting those live music artists and venues, because it is not okay for us to think that we get through this pandemic and actually there's no one there to reopen the doors because they haven't been supported during this difficult time. It is crucial that we don't just focus on the big end of town and the big booze barns and the big venues. The priorities of those big venues with serious money are about the nighttime economy, but we need to recognise that there is also a nighttime culture, and that requires so much more than that. I am 100% committed to continue to advocate for this in our community, and as the Greens have always done, we will always support a vibrant 24-hour safe nightlife.
The member for Balmain. He did jump up first.